The Roman Empire had its ups and downs, as every civilization does. But even when it was at its best, the ancient Romans had some pretty rough living conditions. And there were no technological advancements that made communication easy as it is today. Even with these harsh living conditions, the Roman civilization is perhaps the most remarkable example of how a seemingly outmatched culture flourished. Rome wasn't just a military superpower, it was a cultural powerhouse as well. As Rome's influence grew over the Mediterranean, it also had to keep expanding its borders to accommodation. The Romans were masters of economy and layout, and their civilization flourished for hundreds of years in large part due to a favorable climate regime. During the Roman Climate Optimum, temperatures were higher than usual. They were the highest in about 2,000 years. At this time, there was almost no volcanic activity. As Rome got more prosperous in its business, culture, and diversity, the empire gradually became an excellent breeding ground for diseases. Thanks to improved nutrition and overall economic well-being, people around the globe are growing taller at an incredible rate. The Dutch were one of the first people to experience this growth spurt. In just 150 years, their average height grew by almost 20 centimeters. While the Romans may have been short in stature, they were well-fed. Rich and poor alike dined on meat and fish. In fact, those in the lower social classes had access to an even higher protein diet than their more affluent counterparts, then were relatively short in stature. This means that their height was most likely due to disease rather than poor diet. The very infrastructures and conditions that helped the Roman Empire prosper, water, food, and trade, also exposed the people to disease. These include their access roads and interconnected cities, which were used to transport food and water also became the transport route for bacteria and parasites. The ancient Roman cities, including Rome, were quite dirty and rife with bacteria that thrived in soggy conditions to spread diseases quickly. Mosquitoes didn't just surround the Romans, there were mosquitoes in the very heart of Rome itself. Mosquitoes aren't just a nuisance for Romans, but their bites transmit severe diseases like malaria and yellow fever, an outbreak that led to Rome being called the Campus Malarum. According to Roman historian Pliny the Elder, these illnesses were so rampant that they threatened to wipe out the entire population of Rome. One Roman legend says that the Antonine Plague was unleashed when a soldier broke into a sacred Egyptian temple during the Roman sack of Mesopotamia. The soldier, said to have been named Marcus Opilius Macrinus, is said to have claimed that he saw a snake emerge from within a chest, bite his hand, and release an unspeakable plague that spread throughout the empire. Although this story was only a legend, it sparked an actual disease that killed millions of people in Rome, smallpox. The city of Rome had no idea how to handle the fast-spreading epidemic and tried many different controls, but nothing worked. Eventually, their army commanders came up with a plan to eradicate the disease. The Roman Climate Optimum ended in the early 3rd century AD. The global climate shifted into the late Roman transition, marked by a period of below-average solar activity. This caused temperatures to drop, glaciers to advance, droughts and floods to worsen, and sea levels to rise. The Roman Empire was sick with a disease that we are only just beginning to understand. The plague of Cyprian, which ravaged the empire in AD 249 and 250, killed so many that it debilitated its economy and government. The plague, which a filovirus may have caused, killed 5,000 people per day at its peak. After the fall of Rome, silver in the Roman currency continued to decline, meaning that the prices of goods wildly oscillated. This would eventually create a monetary crisis. Their suffering didn't end there. The empire was in a state of turmoil. The military was losing territory to barbarian tribes. The metals used to make coins were insufficiently pure and lost value over time.